Hi everyone, this is Alistair from GetTerms. In this video, I'm going to show you our Tag Manager template and how to use it to configure our CMP and your consent mode settings. Before I get started, I just want to note that if you're looking for a setup guide for Google Consent Mode, we have a dedicated guide for this, which I'll link to from the video description. This is just how to configure and manage your banner using the Tag Manager template, which is totally optional. And in fact, the recommended method is to embed our banner directly into the header of your website. I'll talk more about that later. For now, let's go to our Google Tag Manager container to get started. So first we need to install our tag template. So head to the Tags tab and select the New button. Click anywhere in the tag configuration box and then click Discover More Tag Types in the Community Template Gallery. Once this loads, use the search function to type GetTerms and click the GetTerms CMP tag template. Add to workspace and add. Next, click anywhere in the triggering box and select Consent Initialization All Pages. This trigger is only for your CMP, so don't use it for any other tags. Next, you can click Save and use the recommended name. Now your tag template is installed, you can click the tag to open up the configuration window. Click anywhere in the tag configuration box and open the optional settings. The reason these are called optional settings is because you don't actually have to configure anything in here. You can get started with consent mode without touching any of these settings if you simply install our banner by embedding it in the header of your website. But for those people that don't have access to the header, this can be a super useful way of installing your banner through GTM. Starting out, we have the Manage the GetTerms Consent banner with GTM rather than your dashboard. This will overwrite any of the settings that you've configured in your configuration tab relating to consent mode. So any of the default consent states will no longer be sending from our app, and you'll need to configure them in Google Tag Manager. Next, we've got the fallback or global default consent state. I recommend leaving these all to the default setting, which is everything denied except for security storage, which is your essential cookies, which should be granted. This will act as your default consent state if you haven't got any regional overrides for a specific location. This will be clearer later, but for now, just understand that by leaving everything to denied, you're guaranteeing global compliance. Now, for the purpose of this guide, I'm going to show you how to manage the GetTerms consent banner with GTM. To do this, we enable this box and you'll be given a few extra settings. So firstly is installing the GetTerms consent banner via this GTM tag. This makes it easy to install our tag if we don't have access to our website's code, but it does come with a few caveats. First and foremost, the reliability of our script blocking is impacted because we can't control when Google Tag Manager installs our banner. If any of your cookie scripts that are embedded directly onto your website run before our banner, we're unable to block them. So we don't recommend using this if you can install our banner via the header of your website. But for the purpose of this guide, I'll show you how to do this via the tag. So firstly, we've got the GetTerms ID. This is found in the installation tab. You can just copy the token found here and paste that directly into this field. From here, you can also configure the default consent banner language and enable auto language detection, but I'm going to leave these as the defaults for now. The next setting is per region consent mode settings. This allows you to override the fallback global default consent state for certain regions. We do allow you to override consent behavior for the entire GDPR region, but I recommend just leaving the global default consent state to denied and only configuring overrides for specific countries where opt-out behavior is acceptable. So to make sure this aligns with the default settings of GetTerms, if we go into our configuration tab, we can see that for the United States, we have opt-out. So we want to make sure that the default consent behavior is granted because by default, cookies are allowed to be granted in the United States. So we'll quickly just add the United States and set these to granted and click add. And we've now got a regional override for the United States. Next, by default, Australia's consent setting should be no banner or the banner being hidden. But because I'm in Australia, I've set this to opt out just to show the banner in my location. So let's go back to Google Tag Manager and we'll add another override for Australia and set these all to granted. So if you're using the default settings in GetTerms, you'll now have a setting that corresponds with all of the settings in your dashboard. Just to summarize, If the consent setting in a region is opt-in, you want to make sure that the default consent state is denied. If it's opt-out, the reverse applies. So if you're using the default settings, this should be all set up and you can click save. We can publish our container to make the changes live on our website. And if we navigate to our site and refresh it, we should see our banner appear as expected. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, reach out to us via our support channels. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.